to the EQ Video Tip. I'm your host, Eric Forsetter. Thanks again for joining us for another terrific show. As always, before we get into our show, let's review the goals of EQ Video Tip. Welcome back. We're going to talk today about 4 rituals that will make you and keep you happy all the time. And this comes to us from one of our favorites, Eric Barker. Eric tells a story about a gentleman who was driving his car, having a great day, going to pick up his son, and unfortunately got into a crazy accident and wasn't able to walk for a long time, but eventually overcame all these crazy obstacles to walk, and not only walk, but maintain a normal life, write best-selling books. And who's this person? It's the author Stephen King. And later when people ask Stephen, how did you overcome this? It all came down to gratitude. And believe it or not, defying the odds comes down to gratitude, but it's practicing gratitude the right way, because just like everything else, we have something or a flaw within our systems that keeps us at a set point. So for example, it's like if you were going to go run a marathon or lift weights, you train over time, but right now we have a set point of gratitude or happiness, and either we get really happy, then go back to that set point, or we get really sad, but we go back to that set point. The key is, how do we take that set point and raise it up? How do we make that set point go from here of happiness to here of happiness? And part of it is practicing gratitude the right way, just like you would weight train or train for a marathon the right way. Eric's going to teach us 4 ways to do that right now. Tip number 1, the right way to keep a gratitude journal. Many people keep gratitude journals, but they write about the same thing every day. I'm so thankful for my family, or I'm so thankful for my friends. That's great, but you need to vary it. You need to find just crazy things out there. It might be, I'm grateful that I didn't drive my car into that ditch. Just little things like that are changing your brain and the way it thinks and the way it structures things. Now, the example I gave was a little extreme, but maybe very little pieces of things that you could be grateful for. Even something as simple as, I'm grateful that there's a grocery store I can walk into that has a freezer section so I could buy ice cream. Amazing little things like that change your mind, so that at 4 in the morning or 3 in the morning when you wake up and your mind is racing, that positivity can come back in and calm your body down. The same thing applies across the board for your overall. Tip number 2, and this is a tough one, but you need to remember the bad. And now you're probably saying, wait a second, you just told us to focus on the good. Why would I want to remember the bad? But think about those bad times that you had and how you actually got through them. And it actually led to good in the long run. It's important for your brain to understand that when a bad thing happens, you're able to overcome it. So take a moment, remember the bad, and despite all of this, that you can still stick through with your gratitude journal, that there are going to be bad things, but the habit of gratefulness will help you get through, because at the end of the day, you've beaten the bad things in the past. Whether it's a bad breakup or a bad thing at work or a bad test that you took in school, doesn't really matter, but remember the bad, because our brains tend to focus on flushing them out. Instead, use them as something in the future, as a positive thing that you can be grateful for to get through as well. Tip number 3, get a gratitude buddy. Think about this. If you're training for something, a marathon, or you're trying to lift weights, the best way to do the program, get a buddy, get an exercise partner, have somebody run with you. The same thing applies for gratitude. Find someone to practice gratitude with and talk to them for 5, maybe 10 minutes a day, just about things you're grateful for, and so that you can hear what they're grateful for. It'll spark ideas in your brain of things that you may or may not have thought of. At the end of the day, it's a support group for you for life, and this helps you out not only in figuring out what you're grateful for, but understanding the greater gratitude within the world today. Things like that will make a big difference for you, because while your gratitude journal is nice, it's important that other people hear what you're grateful for, so that you can be a grateful person and have the right goals for you in the long term as well. Our last tip, hey, watch your language. And I'm not talking about how you talk to others, but rather how you talk to yourself. Think about this. You talk to yourself all the time. Even as I'm talking to you, your brain is saying, well, I kind of agree with what Eric says, or I don't agree, or that's a great idea. And you have an inner voice. It's important that inner voice talks to you in a positive way. If you make a mistake, for example, don't say, oh, I'm such a screw up, or I always make mistakes. Make sure you say, I made a mistake this time, or it's my responsibility, but it's not always my fault. Understand that the way you talk to yourself makes a clear and present difference in your life in terms of your own happiness. That's going to make a difference also in your gratitude at the end of the day. But changing how you talk to yourself, and you'll change how you feel day to day. Don't believe me? Start trying it. See how you react to things when a mistake happens and what your voice is saying. And then talk to that voice and say, hey, I made a mistake. It's okay. Other people do the same thing. When you change that language, it will change your overall emotional feel of how you are happy day to day. That's a wrap for this week's show from Eric Barker on 4 things, or 4 rituals, to keep you happy all the time. Take a moment, think about them, try to understand what's best for your life, and here's a quick review of what Eric recommends to try to keep yourself happy all the time. So that concludes our EQ video tip for today. Try incorporating some of these tips into your daily routine. But remember, use what works best for you and personalize it for yourself. Thank you always to our great research team for providing us with some great tips today. As always on EQ Video Tip, we want to end with gratitude. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Here are some resources that you can use if you want more information on EQ going forward. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you.